Welcome to the full moon in Aquarius reading, second full moon in Aquarius. And we've got these 3 cards for us today. The Mandrake Root card, which is the Page of Swords in this deck. The Alchemy card, which says transformation below it. And the Starfish, old favorite water element card. And so it's the full moon, so it's the time to really shed light on our subconscious, our being, our shadow self, whatever that is to you. Really being able to shine a light on the things that maybe aren't usually so easy to see within ourselves, within our surrounding, within our environment. And Aquarius is asking for us to revolutionize what we see within ourselves. Like, what is it that we want to see within ourselves? What do we have the ability to dream about and to bring into fruition? If only we could keep our mind focused, if only we could keep ourselves being able to have hope and have belief in some kind of future that could be not only beneficial for ourselves, but beneficial for the whole, for the larger community, not necessarily just our physical community, but it is within our physical close-knit community that we can send ripples out to the community that is the world altogether, at least ideally speaking. Anyways, let's start with the Mandrake Root. So this particular plant, the roots tend to come out looking like human bodies a little bit. They have that look about them with their different roots jetting off from the central stalk. And so back in ancient times, this was looked at as a plant that could actually help the entirety of the human body, help in creating more humans, thus helping with conception and with fertility and things like that. And so this was kind of utilized as a all-around helper for the human body, but also it is a deadly plant. It is a poisonous plant. And if utilized too much, it can kill you. If utilized a certain amount, it can give you hallucinations. If utilized in another more ritualistic way, which it continues to be used like that to this day, like utilizing the leaves in pouches and charms, or putting the root underneath your pillow in order to help you be more fertile. There's a lot of things that this plant has been prescribed to do and has been utilized by people who utilize herbs for hundreds of years. And with this connotation, with the Page of Swords being the more feminine receptive, so it's learning about how to utilize our logical functionality to our highest good. The page is in the process of learning. It's not the queen or the king that is like ascended and understands how to use the mind or communication in the most functional ways. It's like, how can we look at ourselves and be willing to learn what it is that we are being told by the impulses in our body, in our mind, in our triggers, in all of these situations that come up for us constantly, all the time. How can we find a way to utilize this for our highest good, for the highest good of all, and not get completely wrapped up in whatever it is that's going on within us that we are unable to learn what we need in order to heal ourselves. Ultimately, we have the answers inside of ourselves. We have the answers inside of consciousness. But if we are not fully grounded within ourselves, it's harder to reach out into consciousness and pull it into ourselves in any kind of pragmatic matter that's going to actually help us. So get in tune with your body so that you can utilize your mind in the most constructive, positive, uplifting, helpful, hopeful way that you can. Learn to listen to yourself in all of the ways and be willing to accept what you learn from listening. And alchemy. So this card is utilizing the darkness and the yellows and the purples and the whites. So it's giving us third eye, it's giving us solar plexus and crown chakra, and also the subconscious. When I see the darkness, what I see is the collective consciousness. It's the connection of everything. It's the matter and antimatter. It's everything. And so this is, again, bringing us to this message of like, we are the alchemy. The alchemy exists between the light and dark. Those aren't polar opposites. They are something that connects together in order to create alchemy, magic, transformation. For us to transform, we have to be willing to understand our own shadow sides, and also what brings us joy, what brings us life, what brings us energy. And being able to understand that requires us like opening our third eye, or at least practicing how do we open our third eye. And I would say if you wanted somebody that could tell you a scientific breakdown of how to open up your third eye, check out Joe Dispenza. Really great information that's like scientifically tested, and breath work that is easily accessible. And then there's also this, we have it all inside of ourselves. We have to take the time to understand that we are more than just our physical being. And when we give more and more space to working with the alchemy of what our bodies are telling us, what spirit is telling us, we have more of an opportunity to create the transformation we want to see in this world. And I'm also a person who has not always been the best at being able to mitigate myself between my physical grounded self, my spiritual self. And so this card is just coming up to remind us that we have the ability to transform anything that we want in our life. But it requires activation. It requires understanding of the polarities and how they work together, and how even when we're in this super darkness, there's still a light at the end of every tunnel, and we're never going to be in a storm forever. And sure, we're going to be in many more storms over the time, but we have this opportunity to like be hopeful and actively choose transformation, actively choose alchemizing, and taking these disparate elements and figuring out how to work them together for the highest good, not just of ourselves, but of everybody. And the starfish, amazing, amazing creature. So they don't have like a centralized brain. Their whole body is a sensory being so this is really speaking to the necessity right now of being in our body, like really feeling ourselves, like what is coming up for us. Is there a pain in your back? Is there a something that's making you feel some type of way? Like, how can you examine that? How can you just be in your feelings and allow your feelings to help you make the calls that you need to make in this time? Because nobody, as much as other people may love us, nobody is looking out for your emotional, mental, physical health in the way that you can and should be. And nobody could do that for you. That is your job. That is our job. Like, to really be inside of ourselves and understand what these feelings are telling us, so that we can understand what is actually best for us. And starfish is this amazing regenerative creature that It can resprout limbs if a limb gets cut off. If it can actually create a whole body from one little arm. It can regrow a body. It can literally bud new starfishes off of itself and create new starfishes in that way. They are amazing regenerative creatures that are speaking to our ability to regenerate. Even after the darkest, the most harsh times, the most hopeless things around us, we still have the ability to regenerate. And also, the starfish has long been known as a symbol of hopefulness and the connectivity of above and below, like understanding we are made of the stars, and the stars are present on this earth, and they are above us, and we are all a part of a larger consciousness that ultimately is just chugging along regardless of what's actually happening in our singular physical life. And so if we can find a way to be comfortable in that, find a way to allow ourselves to regenerate naturally, organically, and move with the tides of our life, and also they're very strong. Like a starfish can literally just break a mussel apart and eat the insides. So we are strong. We are strong. We are made of the stars. We are the stars. We are phenomenal beings that can regenerate and can be hopeful and can alchemize our situations and can regenerate ourselves and just be our own medicine. We can be our own medicine. We can believe in our ability to rebirth things if we can focus our consciousness on it. So I hope that this is helpful, and I will see you at the new moon.